If you want to stay in the same situation, then continue doing what you're doing.
And you guys can get on board and go down this 4-lane highway and just rock it out, and you don't have to have a decade of learning process.
Meet people where they are. If you want to have all types of clients, be a Rubik's Cube. Meet them where they want to be met.
We have to know our numbers. We have to know how much we want, and then how many deals do I have to close to make that a reality?
What I want to do over the next half hour or so is give you clarity on the items that really are going to generate money for you and allow you to do the things you want to do.
So if you're not currently being coached by the people in the industry that are doing it at the highest level, then you're working too hard to get there.
This is the Next Level Loan Officers Podcast with Kenneth Travis and Sean Zalmanoff.
Hi, everybody. Sean Zalmanoff here with our Next Level Loan Officers Podcast, joined by my friend, my partner, Kenneth Travis. Kenneth, how are you today?
What's up, my man? I'm doing good, dude. Another day in paradise. Loving it.
Yes, it is. And we are joined by Janell Schmittling. Janell, how are you?
Good. How are you guys?
Awesome. So Janell, Janell's an awesome story. She closed $23 million in a business last year in 2018. And just for all of you listening right now, she does not live in LA, and that was not 4 houses that she sold. She's from Shiloh, Illinois, and just right outside of St. Louis. So our loan sizes and property values are not quite that of a huge market. When somebody hears those numbers, they can be distorted a little bit. Janell, so you were telling us before you kind of started, you were a part-time realtor for a few years, and then you decided to plug in, and your business has just gone crazy since.
Yeah. I was doing real estate I was actually working for someone as an assistant for a while. And then when I got my license, I was kind of doing it part-time. My kids were small. So I didn't really work that hard at it. And I was probably only selling about 12 homes a year for probably about 5 years. Then I kind of was going through some personal stuff in my life, and I really needed to make money. And I kind of woke up one night and started thinking, like, I either need to be successful at this or I need to find another job. So I need to find a way to support myself. And I basically started Googling real estate coaching programs and ways to succeed in real estate. And it just kind of started from there. I think a big part of it was my mindset from the beginning. Once I made up my mind that I wanted to do better, I just felt committed.
Say that one more time.
So it was my mindset. Once I made up my mind that I wanted to succeed, I just never turned back. That was my goal.
Man, you decided not to get out of your own way, not be your own worst enemy, and just do it.
Yes.
Ken, how many times do we have people who's the number one issue usually?
Yeah, it's usually ourselves or yourself. And it's a common theme for most people in the real estate and mortgage world. And it's, sometimes the pain isn't great enough, Janell, for people to shift and to do something.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so it's why, like, have you ever seen someone who's like grossly overweight, and then all of a sudden they lose like 300 pounds? Like, we know these stories, we see about them.
Right.
Well, that's why the pain got so great that it forced them to make a move and to shift and to do something and transform. And it sounds like that's somewhat of an experience you had, was like, hey, I woke up.
That's exactly what happened. I mean, I was going through some stuff, and I just had made up my mind that I was tired of living the way that I had been living, and I wanted something better for myself. And it literally happened in the middle of the night. And from that day forward, I was nonstop doing personal growth, like classes. I signed up for coaching, I started working a lot. Even when I didn't have the business at the beginning, I was sitting at the office doing, calls, notes, stopping by to see past clients. So I just started working at it. And within the first year, my business kind of took off.
Yeah. So notice what Janell said. She was at the office taking calls, visiting past clients, writing handwritten notes, not sitting in front of her email, not scrolling Facebook, not sitting in the corner, like imagining the phone's just going to ring, taking very proactive action. And
Right.
that's the difference in people who have the kind of growth you've had and those that don't. So, I mean, your growth has been incredible. Like, I mean, just will you tell everybody about the last 4 years, what it was 4 or 5 years ago, and the
So
where
the
you're at now?
the first year after I kind of had committed that I wanted to be successful or I was going to get out of real estate, I went from selling 12 homes to 36, which is quite a bit. And then after that first year of moving up from 12 to 36, I decided to sign up for coaching. So I got into this coaching program. And then that first year in coaching, I went from 36 to 72 homes I sold that first year. And then the next year I was still on my own. So even, I mean, at 72 sales, I was working a lot, obviously. So that next year I sold 76 homes, and I finally decided to kind of get some help and start a team. So I got 2 girls that started working under me as buyer's agents. And this past year we sold like 120 homes. So, the 2 girls that work with me, they just kind of follow up with buyers and extra leads that come in. I do all of our listings and marketing and all that, but we sold 23 million and 120 homes. So,
I mean, I think we could end this call.
Going from 12 homes to 120 homes in 4 years has been a huge learning process for me. And I feel this last year has been the biggest growth for me. I think when I was selling 76 homes, it seemed like I was struggling. I was constantly working. I felt a little bit unorganized, but this past year, I feel like a lot of my systems that I do kind of started coming into place, and I was able to take off more time even with selling 120 homes. So I feel like things are going a lot more smooth now. And I feel more like I have a business instead of running just ragged as a realtor.
I feel like we could end this call right now. I have a lot more questions for you, but you got committed. You did income generating activities. You got out of your own way.
Mm-hmm.
And you did the work and you hired a coach, and then you implemented. Like, there's the formula, people. Like, it's not rocket science, and we always seem to make this so hard on ourselves. And then you had a big breakthrough this year in getting systems in place and a team, learning how to run a business, which it's awesome that you had another, 40, 50 more transactions this year with a team.
Mm-hmm.
Because often people they can take a step back, learning how to manage people, interact and do that. And you only, I'm sure not only positive, there was some struggles along the way, but you had another, just fantastic growth. So tell us, like, as those transitions were happening, like, what were the things that you were learning, when you decided to put the team in place, when you decided to, put in the investment for coaching, like, what were the things that were going through your mind, and what actions did you take?
Well, I think one thing that I have found the last 4 years is that I think you can run a business. You might not always be perfect, but what I have found is that if your clients, one, know that you care about them and they know that you work hard, people are going to refer to you. I think that's what they really care about at the end of the day. They want to know that you have their best interest at heart, and that you care about what they have going on in their lives, and that they know that you're working. So I kind of put those principles at the front of everything. And I think coaching, I've told a lot of people, because a lot of people have asked me about my success. And I think that you don't have to do the same program as me, but I definitely think as a business owner, we have to continually be growing. So I think any kind of personal growth conferences or any extra continuing education or anything like that can only help you. And I think a lot of people do sit back and wait for the phone to ring instead of going out and running it like a business and finding their own clients. In this past year, what I have found is that as I started making more and my income grew, my why kind of changed. I didn't have the same kind of tug that started me 4 years ago. Some things have changed in my life. So I had to kind of come up with new things that drive me now. And I think that that is really important, having goals that you write down and kind of your why. And this past year, my why kind of became my team. Like I had hired 2 girls and I didn't want to fail because they had goals for their family and I didn't want to let them down. So that became my new why. I kind of was over my things that I needed for myself and I was focusing on my team.
Past your primal instinct for survival and now helping others get to where they wanted to go?
Yeah, because I do feel really blessed. I mean, my income has grown over 10 times what it was 4 years ago. And so I feel like now I have systems in place. I feel like I know how to generate leads and how to get business, and I want to be able to give back to other people. So the 2 girls that are working with me, they have goals that they want for their family, and I love being able to help them and see them grow too. And I feel like the more that I can help them, the more that we could maybe even bring on more people as we continue to grow.
So what does the next 2, 3, 5 years look like in your world? What do you want to grow to and your team to grow to?
So I want to do 30 million this year. And that number came into play with kind of what my 2 buyer's agents are hoping to do, their goals, and then what I want to do for myself. So I won't be hiring anybody else this year, but once we get to that 30 million point, then I think we'll kind of address it again. And I do have some goals for the future, but I don't really want to say that yet.
No, that's all good.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of loan officers that listen to our podcast, and first of all, they would love to have the growth that you've had. And ladies, gentlemen, Janell just gave you the exact blueprint on how to do it. And it's truly not that hard. I mean, the biggest thing, just like it says behind me here, you got to do the work.
Yeah.
Kenneth, you actually, you recently posted something on Facebook, and it couldn't have been more true. Was you had a comment about, people saying that if I go to work and, man, if you love your job, it's never work. And, that's bullshit. Like, come on. Like, we can still love our jobs, but
yeah.
I mean, it is not like sitting on the beach or skiing down a mountain. Okay.
Right.
It's not always that fun. It's not always so glamorous, and we got to roll up our sleeves and get dirty. So we all have to.
It's definitely a cliche. There's no doubt. Like people say it all the time. Well, if you love what you do, it's not really work. Well, it's work, and I love the mortgage business. But in Janell, like what we do is hard. It's not easy, and there are days where we have to like really like pick ourselves up and push through and break threshold and like make stuff happen. And I had a client recently ask us. One of our coaching clients recently asked me, "Hey, KT, like what is it that helps you be exceptional and in those tough days? What helps you like how do you manage your time?" Right? It's like a real simple question, and it's easy, but it's hard, right? Like the concept is real simple, and a lot of times we think it has to be this sexy thing that it doesn't, right? You just have to do the work, right? You have to create space, and you have to be able to say no to people. You have to be able to get the time vampires out of your life. You've got to a lot of surface confusion stuff, right? Like think, well, I need to sharpen my pencil. I got to go buy a pencil sharpener. Oh, I need to do this, and like they make all these excuses why they're not doing the activities, right?
Right.
And then they look up and their day's gone, and they're just like, "Why didn't get anything done today?" It's because they're not organized. And they're saying yes to things that aren't a good use of their time, making other people's priorities or emergencies become their priorities, right? It doesn't serve us by any means. And so it's refreshing that
I definitely think it becomes about habits. I mean, you have to have habits, and if you want to be successful, I mean, because even as my business started growing, it started to get harder to do some of the activities that I was doing to try to grow at the beginning, like lead generation and stuff like that. But you have to make up your mind that that's the most important thing, and you have to have the habits and just make that part of your schedule, because if you don't put it in, then you'll find a million other things to do throughout the day. So a lot of times when I come in the morning, that's the stuff that I do first before my day kind of gets out of control.
Yeah.
I block in like 2 hours, do my calls, notes, lead generation activities, and then I dive into my day. But it definitely has to be a habit. That's something that I found. And I use like a CRM system that I track everything, and I've became so like kind of anal about it. Like if I don't do all my action steps, I feel like I failed that day or whatever. But I feel like you kind of have to be like that. You have to give yourself a little bit of slack occasionally here and there too. But I think, I could go back to having no business if I don't continue to do lead generation, and that needs to be the most important thing.
So what would you like to tell? So I know based on the market that you're in and the business that you're doing, there are probably just 70 or 80 loan officers that call you a week to ask you for business.
Yeah.
What would you like to tell the loan officers who probably tell you the same thing on the phone every single time when they're telling you as well too? What does it take to get to work with the top producing agent like yourself?
Well, I have a couple loan officers that I feel kind of loyal to because they did help me back when I had no business. So I feel like I'm a loyal person. That's how I am with my clients, my team. So, that has kind of came into play with me. But as far as like other loan officers that have reached out to me, there have been some that I've started referring to that I felt like for me, I just saw similarities in how they worked in the same way that I did, because I felt like the ones that I wanted to refer to, I could see that they were hard workers, that they cared about their clients. I'm really big on communication. So if a loan officer is not going to call people back or keep them informed, that's a problem for me, because that's something that I've used to grow my business, is that I say that the number one thing that I'll commit to my clients is to have good communication. So I think that communication is huge. And just knowing that somebody works hard and that they're there and that they care about our clients and our business.
So you probably get a lot of phone calls from people saying, hey, Janell, our communication's great. We have good underwriting. We have a lot of products. We close on time, like all the bare minimum things that we should do to be in the mortgage business. How does somebody crack that door and separate themselves to get in front of an agent, even the first time before they can prove anything to you with, what do they say differently to you or do differently than those tired old scripts that many people in our industry still use today?
Well, I'm thinking of somebody in particular, but there was someone that asked to meet with me, and he was kind of curious about my success, and we talked about some stuff, and he said to me, I'm not expecting you to send me all of your business today. He's like, I feel that we need to develop our relationship, get to know each other, and then hopefully, you'll see that I work hard, and if you want to try to send some people over to me, I would love that. But I felt like instead of pushing me to just automatically be using him when I hadn't been using him in the past, or we hadn't really spoken before, we kind of started getting to know each other a little bit. And then I feel like when you trust someone, you're more willing to send people their way. I feel like it's the same thing with real estate. Like that's why, like, I try to work by referral, because people trust when they're given their name to a friend. So, I want to have trust in the loan officers that I use. I work hard enough, so you want to make sure that the people that you're passing over to them are being taken care of.
Almost all of us dated somebody before we married them.
Right. That's true.
Except Kenneth, he got married on the first date, but he
it was love at first sight for her.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, hey, Janell, we appreciate your time. Is there anything else for realtors and loan officers listening that, you gave them the blueprint 4 minutes into our call, but anything else that you'd like to share, tell us about yourself, unique things that make you awesome, to have helped you get, to have the growth. And you're about to have another 25% growth this year. It's just not stopping.
Yeah. The only other thing that I can kind of give advice on is that I think something else that I used to not do that I really do all the time now is I used to be a dreamer. Like I dream about stuff that I wanted in my life, but I never really had a plan or a goal to kind of how I was going to reach that. So a lot of the things just seemed like fake. Like I would think like, oh, I want to have this life, but you never have a plan of how you're going to get it. So one of the first things that my coach started teaching me was that you got to break down your plan into, smaller steps. So, I mean, I'm evaluating my goals really every month, every 6 months, and then every year. I mean, there's things I want in my future, and you have to be patient and know that you're not going to get it tomorrow, get everything tomorrow, but having it broken down into smaller steps and goals. And then when you start reaching those, you realize like, okay, maybe this isn't really just a dream. Like maybe I can actually have these things. And when you start reaching these small little goals, it pushes you to push for the bigger goals. So that's been something to me that's been really big, because I was never someone that wrote down any of my goals, or I would say I wanted stuff, but I never would come up with a plan. And I think now that's something that I do all the time. And I think having a clear vision of what you want for your future is really important too. Like I have in my office, I have up, pictures of things that I'm dreaming about, or pictures of my family, or, things like that. And I have now I think more about what I want in my future than I used to. And so I think that helps each year kind of break it down into how am I going to get that.
That's fantastic. I mean, we teach people all of the time that, we live in 90-day seasons and set 60 and 30-day benchmarks inside of those seasons.
Yes.
And that's the way that you have to break down your goals. I mean, the number of people who wrote down goals sometime last November, October, and won't pull them out until September of the following year and be like,
yeah,
a few of these things,
Yeah, no, that doesn't work. And I don't think it pushes you. Like if you can set a 30-day goal and then you reach it, you're going to be really excited. And then it pushes you for something else. So, I mean, back when I started the coaching, I thought like, oh, I would love to be, a top agent in the area. I would love to be selling 20, 30 million. But I knew that wasn't going to happen immediately. So I thought, okay, what am I going to be able to do the first year? And then, and then once you start meeting those goals, it's going to increase your confidence too, which is kind of what happened with me. I started meeting my goals. It increased my confidence to push for more. So I really feel like you have to write stuff down and stick to it and kind of come up with a plan how you're going to reach it.
I'm pretty sure somebody Googles about writing goals down, people who write goals down versus don't write goals down. There's some scientific evidence that absolutely back up 100% of that statement there.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, we're firm believers in what we call the conscious self-creation. It's a class that Sean and I teach often. It's about, becoming the person that we want to be, or the person that we are, and living in that way continuously, and then creating a path for that, right? Yeah. We have like a 5-step process of, declaring what we want and then how to make it happen. And to Sean's point, we live in 90-day seasons and do all of that stuff. But what's real interesting about this conversation as we close out the call is it's like you brought up, you're not only coaching, you're also a coach. Yeah. But when we live in an environment where we're surrounded by like-minded people under a coaching program, it helps us catapult our business and take it, to the next level. Cliche-ish.
Yeah, that is so true. Like you really have to surround yourself by positive people and people that are like-minded to you and want to succeed. And that has been something really big. Like I've became friends with a lot of people in my coaching program. I've reached out to other people that I kind of look up to in the area. And those things are so important because you can learn so much from other people that are successful. And just being in a positive environment for me is huge. Like I can't stand being around negative people that are complaining about everything, because you do have a choice. And that is something for me that I can say for years that I felt more of like a victim instead of deciding that I had a choice to do something with my life. And I think once you make that decision and surround yourself with people that will help you grow, that, that can really help. Again, it goes back to the mindset.
That's it. Hey, I got one more question for you, Janell.
Okay, sure.
What is that black dot above your head? For those that are watching, she has a black dot.
I don't know.
Is it on the wall? Or I just been curious. Do you see it, Sean, or is it just me?
That's just you, man. I don't know. Nobody else is going to see that.
Well, Janell, thank you so much for
You're
spending
welcome.
some time with us today. We certainly appreciate it. It's always nice from a loan officer's perspective to get a realtor's perspective.
Sure. Yep.
Kind of understand that you guys do go through the same challenges and struggles that we do, and that the referral part of our business is one of the most important things about us, and
It is.
just understanding what it is that you guys feel as well, because there is another side of that context, and we certainly appreciate you sharing it. For those loan officers that are listening and want to continue the conversation and are interested in coaching, we've got products. We've got all kinds of products for you guys, right? And the best way to be able to access these things, these ways of expanding and taking your business to a new level, grab your phone and text the word next level to 36260. It's 36260. Get our free app where you can see where we're going to be. We're going to be traveling all across the country, and we are available to get you a part of that conversation. So Sean, oh man, I did it by accident. It was pure accident. Everyone knows I'm just kidding, but Sean, thank you for hosting us today, man. And just
thank you as well for your time. We really appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you for asking me.
And Kenneth, I do know your name, so it's cool. It's only been a few years, but we appreciate y'all joining us today. And have an awesome day. Go implement and do what you say you're going to do. See y'all.
Bye.